From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. And the big news from yesterday, everybody was waiting to hear, would Facebook uphold their ban on the Orange Menace? And their so-called oversight board did indeed uphold the ban. The correct decision. Facebook took down the Orange Menace's account after the January 6th attack on the Capitol and his couple of posts that encouraged the attackers while it was happening in real time. So they said, no, this just can't be. And they took him out indefinitely. So this oversight board made the decision that Facebook was, yes, justified. The only criticism of Facebook was this indefinite ban isn't anywhere in your use agreement. You kind of made that up. So what they're telling Facebook they have to do is within 6 months, they're giving them a 6-month deadline. You got to either kick them off permanently or let them back in. You can't do this indefinite thing. Okay, that's fine. And they're basing that on the rules of the road that Facebook has already established in their users agreement. And if you need to understand who this oversight board is, until this all came up, I really wasn't aware of this myself. Zuckerberg put together this panel of kind of big thinkers he called the Facebook Supreme Court. When there are big decisions to make, and this has been the biggest so far, they get together and they hash it out. I'm reading from the NPR story now. The panel is funded by Facebook through a $130 million independent trust. It's currently made up of 20 experts from around the world, including specialists in law and human rights, a Nobel Peace Laureate from Yemen, the vice president of the Libertarian Cato Institute, the former prime minister of Denmark, and several journalists. And given the circumstances, I have no complaints about this at all. I think they did exactly the right thing. If Facebook doesn't have it explicitly delineated in their user agreement, they ought to. They ought to make that more clear. And so that's one of the points of the decision. But mainly, it does uphold the decision to ban the Orange Menace. So I'm with it. Twitter has already banned him permanently, which I also completely agree with. And I think Facebook, at some point between now and the 6-month deadline, in fact, I think they should do it tomorrow, they should follow Twitter's example and just ban him permanently. Just make the argument. Because after all, the guy was and sadly remains the most dangerous person on the planet, quite literally. There's no exaggeration in that statement. He has single-handedly created and led this cult of the modern Republican Party. He's got most of them believing in the big lie that he actually won the 2020 election. This is Mussolini, Hitler level kind of stuff. This is crazy. Not to mention the fact he's single-handedly responsible for several 100,000 deaths due to COVID-19. In his mishandling, in his lying, in his self-serving. He's quite literally the most dangerous person on the planet, and he shouldn't get anywhere near a social network. Permanent ban is absolutely required here and completely justified. So Facebook, don't wait 6 months to make your decision. Just do it. This oversight board pretty much gave you the green light. It kind of gave you a slap on the wrist for being a little vague with your rules, so make your rules more explicit. And it told you to make your decision. You can't do this indefinite thing. Either make it permanent or let them back in. So they're giving you the green light. Just take it. Now, that's the nut and the bolt of the whole thing. But there's a whole lot more going on, which makes this story so ridiculous. Let's start with a tweet by everybody's favorite Lauren Boebert, the crazy gun nut new Republican in Congress, the kind of people who are getting elected now on that side of the aisle. Her quote, "Facebook's oversight board should not be more powerful than the U.S. Constitution. So that's just laughably ridiculous, and this doesn't need explaining, right? I mean, I know I don't have to explain this to you. Do I? Facebook is a private company. They're not the United States government. And freedom of speech, the First Amendment to the Constitution, says that the government, they can't put you into jail for what you say. It has absolutely nothing to do with private companies. I mean, you guys on the right, you right-wingers, you conservatives, you're the ones who want to privatize everything. Well, if you do, then you got to live by the rules of the private market. I'm the lefty. I'm the one who wants to nationalize everything. If you want to impose a whole bunch of rules on Facebook and make it a public utility, well, fine, come join me on the left. We'll work on that together. I'm the one who wants to nationalize things. I'm the commie. I'm the socialist. Everything's backwards here. You want it both ways. You want private corporations. You want the government's hand out of everything. But then you want to tell these private corporations what to do. Well, you can't have it both ways. Which do you want? Your ignorance on this matter is just mind-blowing. And as far as limiting speech, we have had a tradition of journalism in this country going back to the original colonies and the Tom Paine's pamphlets and the evolution of journalism since those days to today. And there's always been an expectation that no one really argued with. I mean, sure, there's some argument around the fringes, but generally speaking, a publisher, a journalist, has some responsibility to the truth. You can't just print lies. There are libel laws, and that area of the law is long-standing. Now, over the years, that's been tested, and there's an awful lot of freedom. The government can't just jump in and label, oh, this is a lie and that's the truth. And, well, of course, that's the whole point of the First Amendment, of freedom of speech. The government can't be too heavy-handed in all of that. There are times when it's appropriate. You can step in, but there's an awful lot of freedom. I mean, just look at Fox News. Look at Tucker Carlson. Look at Breitbart and Alex Jones. I mean, there are people who lie and lie and lie, and the government really can't get to them. So there's an awful lot of freedom out there. But it comes down to the publisher, the venue. Fox News has decided, okay, it's absolutely fine to lie. We're okay with it. We'll take it right up to the absolute limit, just short of breaking the law. That's what they've decided to do. So Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have decided to draw the line a little differently. Now, I'm in the strange position here of being this great defender of Facebook. Sure, there are lots of things to criticize Facebook about, but on this point, I honestly don't see how they could do this any better. They're really doing their best. All of their faults are still there. Yes, they're still tracking our data. Yes, there's still evil incarnate. But on this issue in particular, what else would you have them do? When their platform is being used to incite violence, to glorify insurrection, well, they're not going to have that. And again, don't paint me in a corner. I'm not their biggest fan. Without Facebook, the January 6th insurrection might not even have been possible. There was so much organizing done on Facebook. So there's plenty to criticize Facebook about. But on this particular issue, how they handled the most powerful and the most dangerous person on the planet, they did exactly the right thing. They pulled his ass. And they really ought to make it permanent. Over the COVID issue, they made this effort to, and you've all seen it, they label articles. Okay, this article is such and such months old. This article might not have full information. Here's a link to where you can get better information. There are these little warnings. There's false information in this article. It's under dispute. We're not being the final arbiter here. We're going to let you see it, but we're going to give you this warning first. I mean, they're bending over backwards. They're just tying themselves in knots, trying to get this right. Mark Zuckerberg, for the umpteenth time, I'm not going to be his biggest defender. There are a lot of bad things. There are a lot of things I don't like about Mark Zuckerberg. But he has said, and conservatives, right-wingers, this should please you. He said over and over again, he's been very consistent, I'm not the arbiter of speech. I don't want to be in that role. You should love that about him. And so when he makes some effort not to be, 4chan or 8chan and just let every crazy conspiracy theorist run wild, he tries to run a little bit of an orderly house here. Now, to you, he's public enemy number one because he took down your guy. So it's very messy. And the problem is, the only way to fix it is with some very large reform, which nobody wants except me and a couple of my radical buddies. I mean, imagine Facebook, the resource, the very fact of it. Imagine Facebook without all the money and profit incentive. It could still have this massive reach. Everybody could just jump in and use it to communicate with everybody else. But without the data mining and without the algorithms designed to make you angry and upset in order to get you hooked. Imagine Facebook without money. It would be a beautiful thing, and it very well could be. You conservatives and right-wingers, you have to give a little more thought as to what you want and what you don't want. You can't nationalize Facebook, given your predisposition to freedom, and especially freedom when it comes to money and profit. You can't have both. Like I said before, you got to join me on the left. You got to become a no-good commie socialist like me. Then we can talk and we work together about breaking up Facebook, about making it a public utility. But that's a lefty solution. I'm not sure what you want. You're just so inconsistent. You're so intellectually dishonest all the time. You don't even know what you want anymore. You just say whatever serves you in the moment. So, I don't know. I haven't got every answer. I do know that free speech and, more broadly, the free market of ideas is completely incompatible with a world that is completely dependent on money and profit as its central organizing authority. You can't have both. It will never work. But let's get back to some of the funnier aspects of this story, because some of them are pretty funny. The Lauren Boebert tweet made me laugh right out loud. And this made me laugh as well, and that is the Orange Menace's new so-called platform. Let's see, I'm looking at AP News right now. His fate on Facebook, the biggest social platform around, will be decided. Okay, so this was written before. Trump unveiled a new blog on his personal website from the desk of Donald J. Trump. While the page includes a dramatic video claiming, "A beacon of freedom arises, a place to speak freely and safely." The page is little more than displays of Trump's recent statements, available elsewhere on the website, that can be easily shared on Facebook and Twitter, the platform that banished him after the riot. So it's just a blog. I checked it out. They've got his little, basically their tweets, these short little statements, about tweet length, most of them. Some of them are a couple tweet thread length. It just looks like your basic website blog that any kid could set up in a couple of hours. And the way it was rolled out was what was really just hilarious. Here's how Fox News covered it. Trump circumvents Twitter, Facebook bans, launches own communications platform. Exclusive. Former President on Tuesday launched a communications platform that he said will serve as a place to speak freely and safely, and will eventually give him the ability to communicate directly with his followers after months of being banned from sites like Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, I definitely clicked onto this thing to take a look. It is simple. There's a video that kind of looks like a movie trailer. In a time of silence and lies, a beacon of freedom arises, a place to speak freely and safely, straight from the desk of Donald J. So the headline and the story make it look like it's this innovative, amazing new social media platform. It's your basic teenager's blog with technology that's been around forever and ever. And it's completely one way. It's just all his stuff. You can't post on it like you could with Facebook or Twitter. It's pretty funny. I'm looking at it right now. It starts with a pop-up, of course. Your first opportunity is to give him money. All right, let's get rid of the pop-up. Together we are rebuilding our nation. We have a contribute button and a shop button and another contribute button. The basic menu here is about, desk, I guess that's those are his blog posts, news, and contact. But in much bigger and bolder font and highlighted are shop, contribute, and another contribute. Let's see. Let's go to the desk. Yeah, and here are all of his little, basically his tweets. So he's tweeting about Liz Cheney, talking about the decision from Facebook. Free speech has been taken away from the President of the United States because the radical left lunatics are afraid of the truth. Free speech has been taken away from Joe Biden? Oh, no, the President of the United States. He's referring to himself as the President of the United States. Not past tense, present tense. Another one about Liz Cheney. Another one about Liz Cheney. Another one about Mitt Romney. It's the same old Orange Menace, just flinging insults and referring to himself as the President of the United States. Well, let's not spend any time there. Click. It reminds me a lot of frankspeech.com. You know about this, right? This is going on several weeks now that it was supposed to be launched, but it never did. That's the so-called platform of the pillow guy, Mike Lindell, my pillow guy. He promised a big launch of this alternate to Twitter and Facebook, and it just kind of never happened. I was watching on that launch weekend. I clicked onto that a few times. I want to see what's going on here. I wanted to join it. They said it's absolute 100% free speech, and anybody can join. But that first weekend was nothing but a live feed of the pillow guy talking with his merry band of kooks in this live stream, and there was no opportunity at all to actually sign up or comment or post your own content. Like all the kind of stuff you can do on Facebook and Twitter and any other of the social media platforms. That's what they're all about. And that's what he was promising. And he just, for some reason, he blamed hackers and saboteurs, and, but for some reason he just couldn't get it up and going. Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, couldn't get it up. And so that was weeks ago now. And it's still, I'm looking at it right now, and I've tried to sign up several times. There's a little click to sign up and log in, but it won't let me. Here, error 1020, access denied. The website is using a security service to protect itself from online attacks. All right, so that's it then? Yeah, I was very interested in frankspeech.com from founder Mike Lindell, the pillow guy. And looking around here, there are community standards. So, first of all, unfettered free speech. But according to their community standards section here, community standards for Frank are based upon America's constitutional republic and the laws of nature and nature's God that are its foundation. America's founding fathers established America as a constitutional republic that is specifically based on the 10 Commandments and the law of nature and nature's God. One need only visit the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. and read these people need editors. They overwrite everything. Have you heard of an elevator speech? Do you understand the concept of getting to the point? Let's see. What is the point here? In keeping with that belief, Frank is a place for discussion by those who recognize our freedoms are gifts not from government but from God. Currently, big tech and the mainstream media are censoring individuals who speak out on events that are undermining our republic and transgressing on our God-given rights. Frank is a forum for discussing these issues free from their censorship. Okay, wait a minute. All right, so it's free from big tech censorship, but it's not free from your censorship. You got your own community standards. And apparently, you have to be Christian. You have to, let's see. Oh, I love this. Again, I'm skipping. This thing is really, really long. Here's my favorite. Many Americans falsely believe that America is a democracy. And therefore, what the majority of Americans want or desire should become reality in the arena of public policy, laws, and public values. Not so. Not only was America's federal government formed as a republic, but the founders included a provision in the Constitution requiring that the United States shall guarantee to every state. Okay, man, this just goes on and on. If you've heard Mike Lindell speak, if you've heard him give a speech, or if you tune into Frank TV or whatever they call it, this is how he talks. He just rambles and gets things wrong and lies. And his little blurbs here on the website are no different. I can't make head or tail out of them. Frank is grounded in certain eternal truths, including respect for the rights and human dignity of others. In keeping with our legal and constitutional history as a nation, Frank will enforce and enjoy community standards that are consistent with the legal and constitutional standards embodied in the laws of nature and nature's God that are the basis of our federal and state. Gosh, oh my God. So, yeah, unfettered free speech? I don't think so. So I was really looking forward to joining Frank's speech and putting this very podcast on the platform. But I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. They're just literally not letting me in right now. I keep getting this error message. And then once I'm in, they're going to slap me with their community standards because I definitely do not live up to them. So the hypocrisy of people who keep yelling about free speech is just through the roof. So the Orange Menace has this amazing, revolutionary new platform that's basically a teenager's blog. Frank's speech has this other great alternative to Facebook and Twitter that's just his little website for his own crazy friends. And we can't get into either one of them. We can't offer our content, at least not yet. Boy, as soon as they can, I'm going to keep trying. I want to give them content, man. I want to be part of it. So that's what's going on. The Facebook ban of the Orange Menace continues. These alternative platforms are fledgling, to say the least. And then back to the really big problem that we all have to face. And that is, how do we deal with big tech and big social media? There's certainly a lot to criticize. As I said earlier, you got to somehow get the money out. The right-wingers, the defenders of the Orange Menace, are now threatening to take action. Well, we're going to break you up then. Okay, big tech, we're going to break you up. Well, that's not all entirely bad. There's a lefty version of that as well. Talk about left and right working together, talking about reaching across the aisle. I would love for the lefties to reach across the aisle to the crazy right-wingers if they want to talk about busting up big tech. If they can come up with a way to do that, I'm telling you right now, it's beyond me, because my ideas nobody wants to hear. My ideas are about making them public utilities, about taking out the all-profit incentive, about taking away their ability to mine data and to sell advertising, and to create all the manipulative algorithms that keep you addicted and keep you anxious and angry. All the things that are wrong from my perspective with big tech. I don't know if anybody, right, left, or center, in the halls of power are going to want to eliminate profit, if they're going to want to make these public utilities free to everyone. So these are my ideas, and I don't have any illusions that those ideas are shared by the people with enough power to make these decisions. All I can do is yell about it. and try to get my podcast onto Frank's speech. So there is some common ground here between left and right. I think there are a lot of people on all ends of the spectrum that would love to bust up big tech. We want to do it for different reasons, but maybe our motivations at this point don't matter as much as actually getting something done. I don't know. By the way, if you're curious about this oversight board, this is their website. So their statement: the board has upheld Facebook's decision on January 7, 2021 to restrict then President Donald Trump's access to posting content on his Facebook page and Instagram account. However, it was not appropriate for Facebook to impose the indeterminate and standardless penalty of indefinite suspension. Facebook's normal penalties include removing the violating content, imposing a time-bound period of suspension, or permanently disabling the page and account. The board also made policy recommendations for Facebook to implement in developing clear, necessary, and proportionate policies that promote public safety and respect freedom of expression. So this is all very reasonable. I agree with it 100%. Facebook, if your rules aren't clear, make them more clear. This sort of indeterminate, as they put it, or indefinite ban that you placed on the Orange Menace, it's not in your rules. You kind of made it up. Okay, fine. I think this is a very reasonable ruling. So make your decision. And I'll close by emphasizing what I said earlier. Take the board's invitation to make your decision and absolutely do make it permanent. Follow Twitter. Make the ban permanent. The Orange Menace was, on January 7th, and remains today, the most dangerous guy on the whole damn planet. If he wants to somehow, within the law, create his own little platform, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, when he gets more than a teenager's blog. But for the moment, and for every moment going forward, he should not be within 10 feet of any established social media. Just make the ban permanent. The guy's a menace. He is the Orange Menace. And if and when he does establish a competition for Facebook, an actual social platform that people can join and post their content, I will be first in line. I'll be right there. And also with the My Pillow guy and his frank speech. As soon as you let me in, I will join up, and then you'll censor me, probably, and make it clearly evident that you face the same problems. Oh, free speech? Not quite so easy as we thought it was. Community standards? Yeah, I guess we have to have those. Now we have to decide what they are. Uh-oh. Yeah, not as easy as you thought, is it? But, yeah, I'll be there. All right. In the meantime, I'm here, and thanks for listening. Speaking of social platforms, please do share the program if you like it. Hit that share button wherever you're listening right now. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube, I don't know, wherever you're listening right now, do me a favor. Hit the share button. That's the only way we get out there. Your shares make all the difference. When it's just me, it's nothing. When you add a couple of share clicks, boom, now we're off and running. So I would really appreciate that. All right, I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.